There is a small jar sitting behind the counter of every gas station in your country right now. It costs $3. You smear it onto a cotton ball, strike a single spark, and you have a flame that burns for 5 full minutes in pouring rain and howling wind. It does not blow out. It does not drown. The United States military issued petroleum-jelly-coated gauze to soldiers during both World Wars for wound care and field fire starting. The Surgeon General personally commissioned it in 1943. Native Americans discovered the raw substance seeping from the ground centuries before the first oil rig existed, using it to seal wounds and to waterproof fire bundles. In 1859, oil workers in Pennsylvania were already smearing it on cuts and using it to coax flames in wet conditions on the rig. A chemist named Robert Chesebrough spent 11 years refining the substance into the clear gel you can buy today for less than the price of a coffee. 1 jar and a bag of cotton balls gives you over 50 reliable fire starters that ignite from a ferro rod, a match, a lighter, or even a 9-volt battery touched to steel wool. Then a $3.5 billion fire starter industry decided you should never connect those dots. They did not bury this method because it failed. They buried it because it worked too well for $3 and could never be sold back to you as a $6 single-use tab. This is the story of petroleum jelly, the oldest accelerant hiding in plain sight, and how an entire industry of branded fire starters was built on making you forget what a gas station already sells. Welcome to the camping vault. This is where we crack open the vaults that massive industries lock shut. If these vaults matter to you, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss one we open. The year is 1859 in Titusville, Pennsylvania. The first commercial oil wells in the United States have just been drilled. A 22-year-old chemist named Robert Chesebrough arrives at the oil fields after spending his life savings on the trip from Brooklyn. He is not looking for oil, he is looking for what oil leaves behind. The workers show him a thick, dark residue they call rod wax. It gums up the drilling equipment and has to be scraped off constantly, a nuisance. But the workers have discovered something strange about it. When they smear the rod wax onto cuts and burns, the wounds heal faster. And when they need to start a fire near the wet, muddy rig, a clump of rod wax catches a spark and burns steady and slow even in the rain. Chesebrough takes samples back to his laboratory in Brooklyn. Over the next 11 years, he refines the crude residue into a clear, odorless, semi-solid gel. He tests it obsessively, burning and cutting his own skin to prove that it heals wounds. In 1870, he opens his first factory. By 1874, stores are selling over 1,400 jars per day. He calls it Vaseline. But Chesebrough is selling it as a healing balm, not as a fire starter. And that distinction matters enormously. Because the moment petroleum jelly becomes a wound care product on a pharmacy shelf, its other properties disappear from public knowledge. The oil workers knew it started fires. The military knew it started fires. Native Americans had known for centuries that raw petroleum seeping from the ground could sustain a flame through weather that extinguished everything else. But none of that made it onto the label. Now stay with me, because what happens next is where the modern science turns this old story into something the fire starter industry does not want you to hear. Petroleum jelly is a semi-solid mixture of hydrocarbons with a flash point of approximately 215 degrees Celsius. It does not ignite easily on its own. That is critical. If it were flammable like gasoline, it would burn out in seconds. Instead, it behaves exactly like candle wax. When you coat a cotton ball with petroleum jelly and strike a spark, the cotton fibers ignite first. The heat from the burning cotton melts the surrounding petroleum jelly. The melted jelly wicks up through the cotton fibers and boils at the tip, releasing a hydrocarbon gas. That gas burns in a controlled, sustained flame. The petroleum jelly simultaneously fuels the fire and prevents the cotton from burning up too quickly. The same substance that feeds the flame also slows it down. One single cotton ball saturated with petroleum jelly produces a strong, steady flame for 4 to 7 minutes depending on saturation. It resists wind because the heavy hydrocarbon gas clings to the cotton surface rather than dispersing like lighter fuel vapors. It resists rain because petroleum jelly is hydrophobic by nature, meaning water rolls off the coated surface without reaching the fibers beneath. Independent testers have documented petroleum jelly cotton balls igniting reliably from a ferrocerium rod spark, a match, a lighter, a magnifying glass, and even sparks from a 9-volt battery touched to fine steel wool. No commercial fire starter on the market matches this combination of burn time, weather resistance, ignition reliability, and cost. If you have made it this far, you already know more about emergency fire starting than 99% of campers on this planet. But everything you have seen so far is barely scratching the surface of what was buried. I collected every technique, every proven method, and everything the outdoor industry hid from you. All of it inside the complete camping vault package. Fire starting techniques the military relied on through 2 world wars. Emergency shelters that outperformed $200 commercial tents. Water purification methods that cost almost nothing. Ancient heating methods that use no electricity at all. Food preservation that works for years without power. Over 10 complete guides, all in one place with no fluff. The link is sitting right inside the description. But stay right here with me now because this video just began. So if petroleum jelly cotton balls burn longer, resist weather better, ignite more reliably, and cost a fraction of any commercial product, why does no one teach this? The global fire starter and lighter market generates over $3.5 billion in annual revenue. Companies like Zippo, Bic, Swedish Match, UCO Gear, and dozens of outdoor brands sell fire tabs, fire paste, waterproof matches, magnesium blocks, and wax-based fire cubes at prices ranging from $6 to $20 per package. Most are single-use, all require repurchase. A tube of commercial fire paste costs $8 to $12 and contains roughly 15 to 20 uses. A $3 jar of petroleum jelly and a $2 bag of cotton balls creates over 50 fire starters with superior burn time and identical weather resistance. The math is devastating. $5 total for 50 starters versus $8 for 15. That is a price difference of over 80% for measurably better performance. But you cannot patent petroleum jelly. Chesebrough's patent expired over a century ago. You cannot brand a cotton ball. You cannot create a subscription for a method that uses 2 items every household already owns. What you cannot control, you cannot sell. And what you cannot sell, you have to make invisible. Federal land managers across the United States restrict or prohibit accelerants and unauthorized fire-starting materials during high fire danger periods. Petroleum jelly, classified by its hydrocarbon composition, falls under these restrictions on many national forests and BLM land during fire season. The same substance the military issued to soldiers for field fire starting is now restricted on public land, not because it is more dangerous than a commercial fire starter, but because it burns longer and more reliably than anything a ranger can easily extinguish. The restriction protects forests. But it also protects a market. Here is exactly what to do with this knowledge starting now. Go to any gas station, pharmacy, or dollar store and buy a jar of 100% petroleum jelly. Make sure the label reads 100% petrolatum. Next, buy a bag of 100% cotton balls. Synthetic blends will not take a spark. Take 1 cotton ball and work a generous amount of petroleum jelly into the fibers with your fingers. Coat about 3/4 of the ball, leaving a small section of dry cotton exposed. That dry section is your ignition point. Store the prepared balls in a small Ziploc bag or an old pill bottle. They keep indefinitely, they weigh almost nothing, and 10 of them fit in a container smaller than your fist. When you need fire, pull 1 ball from the bag, fluff the dry cotton section to expose the fibers, and strike a spark onto it with a ferro rod, match, or lighter. The cotton catches immediately. Within seconds, the petroleum jelly melts, the gas ignites, and you have a strong flame that lasts 4 to 7 minutes. Place it under your kindling and build your fire on top. A backpacker in the Scottish Highlands tested this method during a November rainstorm with sustained 30 miles per hour winds. The petroleum jelly cotton ball ignited on the second ferro rod strike, burned for 6 minutes, and lit soaking wet birch bark that 3 commercial fire tabs had failed to ignite. His total fire starting kit cost $4 and weighed less than 2 ounces. Now I need to be honest with you about something important. Petroleum jelly cotton balls are not perfect. They are messy to prepare and sticky to handle. The petroleum jelly can melt in extreme heat and leak inside your pack if stored carelessly. They do not work if the cotton is genuinely soaked through with water. You need to keep them sealed in a waterproof container. And petroleum jelly is a hydrocarbon product derived from crude oil, which means it is not a natural or renewable material. For those who prefer plant-based alternatives, coconut oil works similarly, though with a slightly shorter burn time. But as a fire-starting method that costs $3, fits in your pocket, ignites from any spark source, burns for 5 minutes in a storm, and has been field-proven by every military branch for over 80 years, nothing on any store shelf comes close. Nothing. Think about the full scope of what we covered. Native Americans used raw petroleum seeps centuries before the first oil well existed. In 1859, Pennsylvania oil workers started fires with rod wax in the rain while Chesebrough watched. The military issued petroleum jelly to soldiers in both world wars. Survival instructors have taught this method for decades, and a $3.5 billion industry filled an entire aisle with branded fire tabs, paste, and cubes to make sure you never look twice at the $3 jar already in your medicine cabinet. This knowledge did not disappear. It was buried under branded packaging and outdoor marketing. Written by the people who profit every time you buy a $6 fire cube instead of smearing a cotton ball. The jar is still right there at every gas station. $3, no certification needed. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and share it. Every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon. What is inside weighs even heavier.